Live from the Heartland Mamas studios, this is the Heartland Mamas podcast. I'm your host, Heidi Henry. The Heartland Mamas podcast is available on all podcast platforms, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook, and proudly part of the Demcast USA network. As of today, we have 342 days left to save the USA. 342 days before the November 5th, 2024 election, where we will decide if we're going to embrace fascism or keep our democratic processes here in this country. So get up there, get out there, do something to help candidates win up and down the ticket, because right now is a crucial, crucial time. So every day we talk about a new topic, and today I want to talk to you about a question somebody asked me the other day regarding the Chicago Public Schools having an elected school board. And I said to them, my children didn't go to Chicago Public Schools. I don't pay into their school system. I don't know that I have an opinion. And I said, but I do think it's about damn time that they got control of their school board back, control of the school board back in the hands of the parents. Because you have to understand that it used to be before 1995 that they had an elected school board. And then we had Mayor Daley, Richard J. Daley, which was the second Daley in my lifetime that ran the city of Chicago. And he decided, you know what? I want to know exactly what they're spending money on. I want control of the finances of the public schools, and I want to know what direction they're going. So instead of letting you elect a school board that represents your neighborhood, instead, I'm going to appoint people. And he appointed corporate giants from Chicago. And these people didn't have kids in the public schools, and they were mostly white. And Chicago is a very diverse city. There's every color, flavor, language, religion you can imagine down there. And if you haven't been to Chicago in a while, shame on you. It's a beautiful city. It's the crown on the top of Illinois. And Chicago is a vibrant financial leader in this country. And it allows people like me that live downstate to live the way we do, because for every dollar my community pays in, we get $1.38 back because of the taxes paid by the city of Chicago. I mean, it's just how that works. So I love the city. I love it. And I always enjoy going down to visit the city. But in 95, Daley took away the ability of the people of Chicago to have the right to their own elected school board. And what happened then is he went about and he closed a bunch of the neighborhood schools and replaced them with for-profit charter schools that he funded with Chicago taxpayer dollars. He took those taxpayer dollars and gave them to private entities to make money off of Chicago school kids. And not every kid was accepted at each charter school. So sometimes the kids, instead of going to the school in their neighborhood that closed, they'd have to get on a multitude of buses to be able to get to a school that would accept them, a public school that would accept them. So it was not a good thing for the kids in the neighborhoods. It caused a lack of community. Kids felt disconnected from their community by having to take all these buses and going to another neighborhood to go to school. So then right after Daley, Rahm Emanuel came in, and man, it was his vision to kill Chicago Public Schools. He didn't feel that they were worthy, and they'd been divested in under the Daley administration. So Rahm Emanuel comes in, he closes 50 more public neighborhood schools, 50 more, and replaces them with for-profit charter schools that the people from the city of Chicago are paying. They're putting their tax dollars in so somebody can make money off of teaching the Chicago kids. So the people of Chicago had had enough. And in 2015, they put a referendum on the ballot to have an elected school board again, so they could decide how things were going to go in Chicago, what was going to be taught, where the money was going to go, to invest Chicago tax money into Chicago public schools. So they wanted to take their power back, and they did that in 2015, but it's going to be 2025 before they actually get that power. And in 2025, they don't have it all back. They get 10 elected and 11 appointed, I think. So they don't get the whole control right away. And then it takes until 2027 until all of the Chicago school board members are elected. Now, I think that's great. I mean, Chicago needs to invest in its neighborhood schools. It needs to divest itself of charter schools. It needs to get rid of the charter schools because it disconnects the children and the families from the communities they live in. A child should be able to walk out their door in the city and walk to school. And I don't want to hear people say, yeah, but it's dangerous. No, Chicago is a very safe place to live. There are going to be areas where maybe we need to have, patrols help them get to school, just like they helped me when I was a little kid in Elmhurst, Illinois, get to school from my house. So yeah, that's going to be possible. Maybe the parents will walk them. But what that does is it creates that sense of connection and community when you go to the school in your neighborhood. When you fund the schools in your neighborhood, when you fund public education for the children whose parents pay the taxes, it is good for everyone. There is no downside. It's when you disinvest in public schools that there's a problem. So we need to take care of that. And the only downside I can see from any of this is that you need to make sure that you're electing people that understand the process of what a school board does. They need to understand that there's limits to what they're able to do, and that everything can come off the rails when the superintendent or CEO says, you know what, we can't do that. So it's going to be really important that they elect people that understand the process or are willing to learn the process. And then on top of that, these people are not going to be paid. And I think that they should be compensated because Chicago has a very complex school system, and not paying them for all of the time they're going to have to invest into this work is really not fair to them. It's not like the schools out by me where they're very small. These are a hugely complex set of schools. So the other thing that I am concerned about, and more concerned about anything than anything else, is the fact that there's no limit to the amount of donations that each candidate can accept to be on the school board. So if you're going to run for school board, you can accept countless millions to get that position, which gives the corporate Chicago and wealthy people in Chicago the ability to steer the direction of the schools, of Chicago public schools. And I think that's a bad thing. I think there should be limits on what they can accept as donations. It's a lot of money because there's a lot at stake here. So those are the only things that I would consider to be problematic. But overall, I think it's a huge step in the right direction. The people of Chicago deserve to be able to elect the people that they feel they can trust, that have the best interest of the kids in mind, who are connected to the neighborhoods, who are diverse as Chicago is diverse, so that they can move Chicago forward. Chicago public schools are wonderful, and they need to have, parents need to have the input to advance the schools, to do what's best for the kids. So that's my opinion. For what it's worth, I don't pay into Chicago public schools. I don't have children there. So, but it was one of those questions I fielded at an event I was at. So I told him I would let you know. Anyway, from the edge of the Great Red Divide, this is Heidi Henry. This has been the Heartland Mamas podcast. I hope to see you again tomorrow. I know I will. Have a great day. See ya. Bye-bye.